Hi guys, welcome back to Create Frenzy. So today I just wanted to show you some different types of sketchbooks that I have, or art journal books really. I use them more for mixed media than anything else. I have several different sizes. Some I've found at Value Village. So this is just a little notebook that I found there that I use for watercolors, some collage. I like it because it's a nice small size. And it does have a little pocket in the back if you so choose to use it for stencils or, I mean, you could use it for anything really. But I kind of like it for small size mixed media, which is perfect. The other one is I am recycling a Wreck This Journal book. My daughter was going to get rid of it, so I decided to use it for mixed media. It's perfect because it has a soft cover, so you can really stuff it full of paint and paper, and the spine will hold it together nicely. A hardcover, it would be more chunky, whereas the soft cover allows for a little bit more expanding pages, which is nice. So two different sizes there. What I also like is creating my own. I just use some sketchbook paper from the dollar store. I don't buy expensive stuff. There's no point for me because, well, I wreck it anyway. So, but this one I've just done a 3-hole pamphlet stitch and used some scrapbook paper for the outside, and I just use it for art journaling. I don't always use a title for things, so I use doodles and different colors. I just sort of experiment with stencils and things like that, and then just have fun with it. I try not to take it too seriously, and I enjoy different sizes. So this is the one I made myself, and then this one, it's an old board book that my daughter brought home from her work, and I'm using it as an art journal. So I figure I'd take you through it with me. So the first page I've just basically used acrylics. I did get these, I got a set of 20 some odd little acrylic paints. I have all of them. So it's kind of nice to just put little dots here and there, and then I'll just use a makeup sponge or finger tool just to sort of spread it around. I did gesso the paper. Well, first I washed it because it's a toddler book and God only knows what's living on it. You know, it's a petri dish basically. So you clean it first and then you gesso it and then you paint over top. So I thought I'd take some time and just sort of art journal with you, and it probably would be very helpful if I stayed in frame. So not that long ago, I did a bunch of jelly prints, which I enjoy doing, and I have a whole bunch to choose from. So I figured, you know, my favorite shape is the circle, and I cut a bunch of circles and half circles and whatnot else out of 2 different teal blue colors. So it's kind of nice variety. So I'm just going to set those over here for now. And then I figure I'd get out some old stamps. So this is a clear stamp. It's very old. I've had this for like, oh my goodness, I don't even know how long, a very long time. 2007 is when this first came out. It was 21 bucks. Can you believe that? Just for that. It's crazy. Anyway, I had a hard time pulling some of these off. Sometimes, especially if they've been sitting around for a while or haven't gotten around to using it, they stick. And if that's the case, I just cut it like this, and then I use some double-sided tape and put it onto your stamp block so that you can use it still. So don't try to rip them off and, you know, rip them to shreds, because that's annoying, because then you can't use it, right? So what I do is, if I know it's going to rip off like completely, I will just cut around it and make sure I use it that way instead of trying to, you know, dislocate it kind of thing. I'm also using some Jane Davenport, her faces stamp set. So it's just all the different faces. I don't know, I just thought I'd play with some old stamps. I do have a couple of other cutouts from some travel book or whatever. I don't know if I'm going to use those or not, but you know, we shall see. I also have some other flower stamps. I don't know if I'll use those either, but I got these through AliExpress. I thought they were really pretty. Whether or not I'll use them, I don't know. But let's get started on some of these shapes. So what I like about these, obviously, is the swirl design, but I like that some of these look like water kind of design. I don't know. So I thought we'd start with that and just have some fun with it. And we shall see what we can make. Again, I'm just playing. I don't know how long this video will be, so bear with me. But I kind of like that these are a little bit chunkier than some of the other swirl stamps that I've got. So I kind of like the idea of just sort of, you know, make it look like water splashes. Whether or not it'll work, oh, is a different story. Ooh, there we go. So it's not bad. Larger stamps are notoriously a little bit more difficult to work with, but we're going to work with it regardless. And board books are a little bit easier because they have a bit more structure to them, obviously. Just thought I'd have some fun. Now some of this might be covered up with other things, and that's okay too. I don't really mind. So can you still see? Yeah, okay. Sometimes I wonder, it's like, how long was I out of frame? I don't know. But most of you are fairly patient with me, so it's all right to experiment. Let's see. Yeah, we could use this one. I do have another swirl set, but that one is just as old as this one, and it really got stuck onto the plastic, and before I realized it, I had ripped it to shreds, which is not a good thing, but I can use parts of it only at this point, so which is kind of too bad. Now, just because these are splashes doesn't mean it has to be on the bottom. I'm just sort of putting them randomly, sort of framing it really. Obviously, you can stick them wherever you feel like doing it. I kind of like, you know, having it all over. I'm not overly fond of white space in my art journals. I don't know why, it's just the way I am. So anyway, we've got that down. That's pretty good. I usually use the stays on because then I can paint over top if I had to, and it's not going to budge on me, so which is perfect for that. Alrighty, let's see. So circles, you know, it's one of my favorite shapes. Usually what I try to do is I try to just sort of lay things on here ahead of time so you can sort of get a feel for it. And sometimes when you're cutting circles, that happens. What I do, I just go like this. Yep, done. And then I can stick it on the edge of a page. And then I'm not worried about it. Let's see. So you try to divvy things up a little bit. Just so you have a little bit of variety. And I treat sometimes I'll treat the center of the page or where the spine is as part of the whole look, or I'll treat them as separate pages. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'll just lay down these little ones just randomly. I don't know. And then I have some of these other ones that I try to use up as much of the paper without wasting it as possible, right? I mean, it's not a huge waste if you don't use all of it, because you can always use it in another project. But it's kind of nice to sort of figure things out. Like you could do little and big, that's okay too, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's a question of playing around, seeing what works and what doesn't work. Not everything will work. Let's see, maybe I'll put you up here. And I usually try to work in odd numbers, but you know, that doesn't always work either, so I just sort of play around and see how it goes. So in this case, good old Mod Podge. You can make your own if you don't have any. You can just make it with acrylic glue and some water. It's just basically a white glue. So, can you see that? Ish. There we go. It would help if I paid attention. Those cheapy paintbrushes are usually the best for this kind of job because it allows you to treat things with a little bit less respect, shall we say. And it's just kind of nice to, and if you're not sure about it, you can try different combinations and then take a picture of it. That's sometimes what I do, you know, because I hadn't planned on really stamping the background. So sometimes you do things after the fact and it's like, oh wait, how did that look again? I don't know. I don't remember. But I like these board books for this, so I just wanted to try something a little bit different for an art journal because it has a stiffer page, obviously, right? So, and you can use journals for all different kinds of things. If you wanted to try one just for, you know, really bright rainbow colors, or you want to try one for, you know, just dark colors, like really moody kind of thing, you know, you're in a bad mood and that's what you want to do, then obviously you can do that. That's the beauty of just having so many journals, so that you can just, you know, you can practice one type of art journaling. You can, you know, just do collage, you can do watercolors, you can do sketching, you can do surrealism, you can try copying, well, not copying, you can try imitating your favorite artists and, you know, see if you like their style. Maybe, you know, you want to try out different YouTube creators and see if their style suits you, you know. Because not everybody's style is your style. So you just have to figure out what you like. That's half the fun of doing this. And you will find your own style eventually. And, you know, you may not feel like your style is everyone's cup of tea. Oh, see, that was not glued down. But that's okay. You know, you don't have to share it with anyone if you don't want to. I'm just sharing some different things because I enjoy sharing. I like giving people, you know, creative license and see what you can come up with. Because half the fun is learning to create. Like I said before, you know, art is a language. And the more you practice it, the more fluent you get. Which is so nice. It allows you to just sort of, you know, whisk yourself away into a different world. You know, if you have a bunch of scraps sitting on your desk, or, you know, you want to get those magazines out of your house, and that's okay. Let's use them up. You know, if you've gone through some of your bookshelves or, you know, over the last few months during COVID, you've been working on getting rid of things in your house, you know, Marie Kondo style kind of thing. And you've gone through all those books. But, you know, I was like, well, now's a good idea to just sort of look through them and say, you know what, I could use some of these for different things. And that's good too, because you're still using it and recycling it. And you're turning it into something else. You can use it as a supply, you know. Don't be afraid to use up those books. If you've read it and you don't want it anymore, even if it's a cookbook, go for it. Doesn't matter. Most of us have cookbooks, but everybody looks things up online now, you know. That's what I do anyway. And it's kind of nice to sort of repurpose all that. Use it as a supply in your house for art journaling. You can use them for arts and crafts. You know, let's say you want to create something nice for someone and you want to try different things. Maybe you want to do a shabby chic. Oh, okay. You've never done shabby chic before, but you've got grandma's laces and you found a bunch of fabric that you didn't know you had in your house because you've been cleaning up because you got nothing else to do during COVID, right? But clean. So now you have endless supply of all this stuff. It's like, well, I can't make it to Value Village to drop it off, or I don't really feel like it, or maybe I'm going to wait. And I'm going to go through everything first, again, but with in mind, keeping in mind that you're going to look for art supplies. So whether that be, you know, fabric, because you could do fabric collages on paper. As long as you have some fabric glue, you should be good to go. Which would be perfect. You can use magazines, old ones, new ones. You can use travel. You can use, let's see, I don't know, all different kinds. I mean, there's so many different paper products out there that, you know, the possibilities are pretty much endless. And it's kind of nice to be able to recycle something that you would normally, I mean, especially if it's, okay, you know, if it's in good shape and you want to hand it over to another child or donate it to your local community center, fine, go for it. But if you're looking for art supplies and you can't make it to the store, then it's kind of nice to be able to, you know, get your own stuff. Shop at home. Try that first. See how that works for you. And then go from there. Yes, you are going to get gluey fingers. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Alright, so as you can see, they are all glued down. And if they're not glued down 100%, you can come back in with some more Mod Podge and finish it up. that's okay too. Or you could even do the whole page at the end and, you know, make sure it all stays down. But I kind of like having it this way. So now I want to do some stamping on these. So I have this Jane Davenport. It's her faces one. So I thought maybe I'd try putting some stamps on there. I sort of have in mind, you know, very loosely an idea. But I like how cool is that? Can you see that? There. So I kind of like that. So you can go in and paint them with some acrylic paint or some watercolor paint. And just try some, you know, different things. It'd be kind of cool. That's what I had in mind anyway. And you don't have to set it right in the center. You can just sort of do it off center a bit so it looks like the faces are turned, which is kind of cool. I think anyway. Let's see. You don't have to put one on each one, obviously. See, this one I had cut in half for some odd reason. I don't know why, maybe because it ripped on me. But I kind of like that you can sort of position things on there, just make different. I don't know if you want them a little bit further apart. It all depends on what look you're going for. It's kind of cool. Yeah. So again, try different things. See what works for you. And then we shall see what we can do with that. Alright, so here are some Crayola Super Tips. So just watercolor markers, okay? Washable markers? There you go. And then, because I have green in the background, I kind of like the idea of using green. Or you could use blue. You could do whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be realistic. If you want to give them purple eyes, go for it. So I might actually do that. So some violet colored eyes. There we go. I think they look rather pretty. Very simple. Just finish it off like that. Give them some eyeshadow. Let's see. There it is. You could do green. Maybe a brighter green. That one's a bit dark for this. For some reason, green and purple has always been one of my favorite color combinations. I don't know why. I just really enjoy it. So let's see. Maybe not turquoise, but sure, why not? Turquoise eyes. This one looks a little bit surprised. And then a little bit of, just a suggestion of color. It doesn't always need to be colored in 100%. And this one, let's see. This one, get some green eyes. Doesn't have to be realistic in any way. That's what I like about art journaling. You can just sort of play around, introduce different colors, combinations that you would normally never think of. And if you don't like 100% on how it looks, you can go in with your gel pen and add some details in different areas, which is kind of what I tend to do. So I will just take my little gel pen and I will, can you see that? I will accentuate and give her some overblown eyelashes and just sort of play with proportion a little bit. Because that's half the fun, making it your own, right? So you can emphasize certain things, and then you can just sort of go over, make it look less like a stamp and more like something you drew at the last minute, even though you didn't. You can fake it, sure. It's just there to help you out a little bit. Don't be afraid to put your own little stamp on it. We'll give her some eyebrows. And that's, you know, that's how you make it your own. You can just sort of play with it. She can have really, really long lashes and just, you know, have fun. Anytime you use a stamp and you want to just sort of play around with proportion, you know, feel free to just go over it with a micron pen or, you know, your gel pen. You could do this in white later on, just sort of go in and use it as a highlight, actually. So I just have a white gel pen, so you just want to highlight a little bit and just go in there. See? The thing is, there's no eyebrows on the stamp, so it looks a little bit weird without eyebrows, so I just tend to sort of draw them in. And it's okay if you go off the circle. The circle is more of a suggestion of a face or a head. It's okay. Just sort of play with it. Play with proportion. You know, make it really out of proportion. Make it really go off page kind of thing. And sometimes I like to just sort of accentuate some of the eyelashes. And just have fun with it. Let's see what else can we do here. See, so it just makes it a little bit different from just a regular old stamp. So if you can just sort of sketch away, like this one is sleeping, or she's going to have over-exaggerated eyelashes again because I like the look. What you could do too is, like, if you have eyelash trim, you could use that, glue a little bit on there, really accentuate it, you know, and just have fun with trims and things like that. Don't be afraid to mess with the stamp. Nothing has to stay the way you expect it. You can always change it and just make it a little bit different. which is part of the fun, I think. And just sort of play with it. And then the last one, let's see, you can just do some side lashes. Just quickly sketch it in. Don't be afraid to just sort of loosely follow what's already there. And that's a good way to learn how to do faces too, is because you're just sort of, you know, playing with proportion. I mean, that's what Jane Davenport's things, you know, her stamps are supposed to just sort of give you an idea of what you want. And then it's supposed to guide you, right? So, again, I'm going to give her some eyebrows. It's just for fun. A bit of a highlight. And let's say you want to do cheeks, but you don't want to use markers, you want to make it look like clowns. Get your old blending chalks out. Today is a day of using all your old things. And then you just get a little makeup sponge, you know, these eyeshadow applicators. And then, you know, pick a color, any color. Brighter is usually better because you can just sort of, a suggestion of blush. There you go. And you can highlight with it. You can, you know, shape the face a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to do the same here. Just sort of blend it in. Don't overthink it. Just have fun with it. Geez, I haven't worn makeup in ages. So it's kind of nice to just do some pretend makeup. How sad is that? Oh my goodness. But it just creates a little bit more dimension. You could use watercolors if you want to. I just have the chalks right here. And it just creates a little bit of a blush color, you know, whatever. And it's fun to play with old products. Let's see. Now, what do you think? It's not bad, right? And if you wanted to, you can do the shape around each one. Maybe we'll do that. Let's get some of these markers out of the way. There we go. How quickly the table fills up. Let's see. So at this point you can just sort of play with texture. Let's see. Do I not have one in there? Huh. Okay. Now I need another Sharpie. Oh, yes. We'll use the fat one. What I like to do is I like to just sort of emphasize. Just draw a loosey-goosey. Just, especially if you're not overly fond of your own sketches and things like that. You know, if you don't like your own handwriting or whatever, you can cheat and just do something a little bit different. Just have fun. Don't take it too seriously. And then if you wanted to go back with a darker one, that's okay too. Yep. You have thin lines, you can have thick lines, you have dotted lines, whatever you feel like doing. You're just creating some different textures, different lines. Just having fun with it. Just getting used to having the tool in your hand and just creating with it and not overthinking it. Having varying sizes is what creates interest in your projects. And it loosens up your imagination a little bit. So you can see that it just creates a bit more dimension that way. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. So let's see, what else shall we do? So at this point you can create some more markings in some of these other ones. Let's see. Normally at this point I would sit down and watch Netflix and have fun at making some different marks. I'm just, doodling basically. And if you are not sure about your own handwriting or your own doodles, this is a good practice. Just sort of get into the habit of making your own marks and just sort of having fun. Let's see. Just varying the size makes a big difference too. And this way, when you have the background already in one color or several different colors that you really enjoy, which I just applied with my fingers obviously, but it's nice to see the streaks because it creates some texture in the background and it saves you from having to fill in the whole page, especially if you have pre-cut shapes on here that you are going to doodle in. So this allows you for less chance of, that whole creativity block. It's like, I don't know what to put in that. I don't know what to do with this. It's kind of nice to sort of limit your space and say, okay, all I have to do is this. Until you get more comfortable with it, obviously, right? So, and I don't know, it creates a little bit more fun. Just not worry about it. Vary your sizes. You could do flowers, you could do hearts. You can color them in. Choose a color from your background, from one of the girls that you've colored in or anything else. Let's see. Let's do some green hearts. Sure, why not? They don't all have to be pink. I love this green, that mossy green, my favorite. Just have fun with colors that way. And we're going to do some hearts here too, just because we can. And they're cute. You could do stars. I was going to do another color, but it's on the pink, so I'm going to do the green because it's my favorite. There we go. Just be careful not to drag your hand through your freshly drawn markings because it'll smudge probably until it's dry. So it's usually good to start in one area and then work your way across, kind of thing. So let's see. I really like circles. I don't know why. There's something very soothing about repetition and circles. And circles you can make into so many things, you know, besides phases, or faces rather. You can do bubbles, you can do an individual little scene in each one. So if you want to do nature or butterflies or whatever, you know, you can absolutely do that. You could do, you know, wildlife. You could do flowers. You can do, I don't know, whatever your fancy strikes. And each one can be different. And again, you don't have to use your own jelly printed papers. You know, there's some gorgeous scrapbook papers out there. And then you can pull all your colors from that and have fun with it. So, yeah, that is it for now. Whether or not I will put a title on it, I have no idea. But I think this is where I'm going to leave it because this is now like 40 minutes. So, or yeah, roughly. So there you have it. Some stamps, some old school things that I had lying around I haven't touched in, ages. So it's kind of nice to get these old things out. You know, look through your own scrap room. Look through things that you might be getting rid of. Everything is basically an art supply unless otherwise proven. So, you know, these larger ones you can leave blank. You can do something else with it. You know, just have fun. Don't overthink it, and your art journal can be anything. It can be an old children's board book. It can be something you make on your own. It could be a little notebook you got from Value Village. It could be even an old Wreck This Journal kind of thing. So, you know, have fun with it. Pick out some other things, and your stamp doesn't have to stay whatever it is you stamped on there. You can change it up and sketch over top of it and create your own creations. So, I hope you had fun, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye.